This is Sybert signing into Kane's Wrath on the map Tournament Arena. But this is not just any tournament arena. This is R21. We made it. We're of drinking age finally in America. I guess we've been of drinking age for a long time in most of the rest of the world, but that's okay. It's R21, baby, and we have got a 1v1 best of 11 series, but we're just going to be taking a look at the best game. So hopefully this is one of them. Spawning to the north, playing Cyan, playing Trav, this is Shoktrepet. And on the other side, you may have seen those Cabal squads making their way around the map, playing the yellow, playing Black Hand. This is BartJones. BartJones versus Shoktrepet, not a series that we have, I think, ever seen here on the channel. So it's going to be a little bit of a new matchup for me. Of course, we've seen Shoktrepet a number of times in Tib Wars and in Kane's Wrath, putting up good performances against top dogs. We even saw him recently versus Futurama, and that series went the distance. And that VOD is up on the channel if you're watching this on YouTube. But this is a little bit different. It is R21, which is the newest version of the 1.02 Plus community patch. At the time of recording, it is 2 days old. So today is Sunday. It released on Friday. So it is barely out yet. And so far, it seems like there are no problems. There are no issues with it at all. We're just excited that we have some changes. If you care about it, you can check out the patch list, but you know, I don't care very much. One change that there is, which is an entirely visual change, it changes nothing about the game, is that if you harvest blue Tiberium and you have one of these nod harvesters or a GDI harvester that has these little indicators of how much Tiberium is in there, they will actually be blue or green, and the color smoke that comes off of the harvester will be indicative of what kind of Tiberium is inside of that harvester as well. Black Hand versus Trav. One of these factions, a lot of people think that the late game is quite weak, has a lot of difficulty, and the other one is known for being able to extend the late game out as long as they want and do anything that they want in the late game, because you can just hexalame your way to victory. A couple of Scorpions versus all of this stuff coming in from the Scrin players, Seeker tanks, Gunwalker, and a Lightning Spike. No repairs for that harvester means that it will go down. It is going to be a trade of a couple of units for that, but I'm going to guess that Shoktrepet is going to be happy with this opening here on Tournament Arena. Stasis Chamber is out, Portal is up, and is it going to be Cultists? No, it's going to be Shock Troopers. Okay, going Shocky boys. And hey, if your opponent goes super heavy into Scorps as a response to Gunwalkers and Seeker tanks, well, Shock Troopers do pretty well versus that, especially mixing them in, getting them some blink packs perhaps. I guess they don't get... I guess they do have teleport just by default, but then getting the fast legs would really be a nice upgrade for those boys. And look at that, it finishes right there. Right as I was referencing it. You get those blink packs, you get those fast legs, and these Shock Troopers can be anywhere on the map in a mere moment. One lonely bike down here in the corner spots the harvester. There are a good number of buggies here. The blink control, we'll see how good it is from Shoktrepet. Pretty good so far, but he is going to be you know, fighting ultimately buggies with Shock Troopers. So that's never going to be a great engagement regardless. Harvester does get saved. Bike does get dealt with. Shock Troopers in the north. Buggy, Scorp. Very solid unit composition. Buggies and Scorps. By the way, both players did grab their Tib Spikes early on, and there hasn't been a swap or a kill of the Tib Spikes yet. I'm actually surprised that we haven't seen any cultists mixed in here from Shoktrepet. He did go Trav, but he is okay. Never mind. There's the first cultist. Grabs one buggy. Going to be always annoying. Shock troopers jump forward, grab the other buggy with a bit of a dive. A couple of scorpions are here trying to trade against the gunwalkers and the seekers. It's a big eco play, and for now, it's a double war factor on the front line. No blue Tiberium for BartJones. MCV steps forward. It's going to be beam cannons. Okay, I was thinking it was going to be a multi-MCV play, but this might be single MCV if it's the beams, because then it's not necessarily about getting 4 obelisks right on top of your opponent as quickly as possible, but instead about providing a buffer zone for those beam cannons to just burn down everything in front of them. Couple of seeker tanks in the back line, couple of harvesters perhaps ready to go over to that blue Tiberium since the main base is empty, but BartJones hasn't quite done that yet. 1 or 2 cultists mixed into this shock trooper army, and look at this, ready for the Eradicator, ready for the late game as Shoktrepet is looking to push us into the epic unit zone. 1 cultist squad going for a harvester maybe? Oh, he doesn't get it. BartJones does manage to stop him. Shock troopers versus buggies. The shock troopers do decent enough damage to vehicles, which is why you see so many buggies getting popped by those shocky boys. But, I mean, these kind of numbers, the buggies were winning that fight overall. Little network of defensive turrets coming up for BartJones, and Shoktrepet, not treatment, but Trepet almost done with his Eradicator Hexapod. Actually, he's kept around a gravity stabilizer as well. Could be Devastator warships or a second MCV. We'll see which one it is. Or the slowest building storm column that you have ever seen. Not storm column, but the slowest building storm rider that you have ever seen. Prodigy did get sniped. We saw the area mind control lay on a couple of those buggies, and then the Prodigy did get sniped, and it looks like at least 1 harvester has made it with that blue Tiberium. Check this out. We got blue smoke as the Eradicator Hexapod did just come into this world. We got blue smoke following that harvester, and we got blue Tiberium indicators there as well. And GDI harvesters have pretty much the same thing. They got those 4 rods on the back, and the drone ship is positioned up towards the north there. So it is a double drone ship kind of play, and it is going to be Devastator warships, Devourer warships after that. Devourer tanks and Devastator warships. They're very similar in their abbreviations, but Eradicator Hexapod, no corruptors on the front line, just 1 as it walks up right there. Beam cannons get a couple of shots there, and they're going to be able to burn down that Eradicator Hexapod. Let's hope that Prodigy got rebuilt, because it's 3 shock troopers inside of that Eradicator, which means if there was any aircraft, they would be under threat. And you got to blink away, man. This is getting dangerously low. Shoktrepet, he lets it die. Are you kidding me? Shoktrepet, what are you doing, man? Oh, that was unfortunate. Builds an Eradicator Hexapod, sends it forward. It gets like 4 shots off, goes chomp chomp 4 times, and then gets burned down by those beam cannons. Devastator warships are still here, and they can shut down a base crawl like this. If they actually manage to get their shots on that MCV, they can do some pretty massive damage. For right now, they're just kind of slapping. Oh, another Prodigy sniped in a mere moment. But the Devastator warships are just kind of dealing with the defenses and with the beam cannons, which is exactly what BartJones is happy to trade out. MCV not taking a lot of damage. Okay, finally, it is being targeted, yeah. As soon as that MCV gets targeted, it goes down so quickly to the Devastator warships. SAM turrets pushing the front line backwards, but it is going to be a cap. No, it's a drone platform dropped into the back line, and a backstab with a portal and some shock troopers. So this could be a little bit of a base trade or a swap positions here as they go deep into each other's bases. The Redeemer burning down everything that Shoktrepet has, and Shoktrepet needs to start taking over that area that is controlled by Blackhand. hand. Beam cannons are not necessary when you've got a ton of buggies gunning down Devastator warships in the sky. Meanwhile, the defense gets turned around and Shoktrepet will tap out. Not able to keep up the attempt at going for the base trade. Oh well. Shoktrepet almost got it, but he just wasn't able to manage. And welcome to Tournament Los Angeles. In the north, playing the yellow, sticking with Blackhand, this is BartJones. Meanwhile, on the south, if you can't beat him, join him, playing Blackhand, this is Shoktrepet. Shoktrepet gives up his Scrin hope and instead just goes for the Blackhand. But in a best of 11, well, assuming that we see all games, one game is not the end of the world. You've got a couple more chances to be able to bounce back before you actually get into the danger zone. But of course, with it being a longer series, it just means that every game you let slip away is another one that makes your side of the journey that much longer. And with these best of 11 show matches, you know, there's no easy end in sight, unless you double War Factory all in every single game, which we haven't seen yet. All right, second Harvester, I guess technically he could still be going for a double War Factory all in. I get the feeling that he is not planning on doing that. Gets out a bike. And there's the second refinery from BartJones. And a few seconds delayed, but there's the second refinery from Shoktrepet. So, off to make their natural expansions after that. And I'm excited to see what these guys do in a mirror matchup. Shoktrepet last time did get, I don't know if blindsided is the right term. He knew that those beam cannons were there, but he definitely got burned to a crisp by those beam cannons. And that was a swift end to his Eradicator Hexapod, which did not bode well for the rest of the game from Shoktrepet. So hopefully here he'll be able to deal with the beam cannon pressure if indeed that is what BartJones decides to go for. And, well, we'll see if BartJones is able to keep up the pressure, keep up the win streak as these bikes go toe-to-toe. 2 bikes now for both players, but of course, Cabal Squad could make a difference. In this case, it doesn't even really need to. And bye-bye to that bike. So BartJones gets cleaned up there. He is ready for some expansion action. Shoktrepet. What are you doing? He's had his MCV there for a little while. I'm not exactly sure why he decided to pack it up. Okay, he went and double War Factory back at home, and he is repositioning. He might be just going for a kind of northern position on this field. Okay, no, he's going for an in-between. I'm not sure what the goal is here, what the point of all of that was, but he did go double War Factory back at home, so he does really want to prioritize that unit production, but we'll see if he's able to make anything happen with it, if he's actually able to punch through the defense of BartJones. Double War Factory. He's got a decent number of bikes, but not a scary number of bikes. It's not an impossible number for BartJones to deal with, and it's going to be bike buggy after that. He's got him queued up. He's got him synced up, and for now, he's crossing the map. A couple of Harvesters are definitely exposed here. One of them takes a couple of shots, a big volley coming in there from Shoktrepet. BartJones pulls it back, but sends it right back to the front line. Fortunately for BartJones, Shoktrepet does not dive on it. It was down near about half health, so that could have been devastating. Tournament Los Angeles. It's a pretty short walk to your natural expansion, but it's a little bit further to get to that third. So a lot of times we see the game center around 2-base play, and that is where the game is decided. And then occasionally we do see these games where it's almost a bit of a base trade with how far they are traveling with their MCVs. And it's like a 2-base push that then turns into a base trade, and the games get weird. But a lot of times it does still focus on that 2-base eco, those 2-base pushes. In this case, Shoktrepet does finally have his natural expansion refinery up and running. He's still pumping out bikes. He's gotten some more harvesters on the way as well, but he is behind in the economy front. In this case, he's down 6,000 credits of total resources gathered in comparison to BartJones. So Shoktrepet, he got out that faster second war factory, which is now sold off. Okay, man spam can be good. He's only got one hand of nod. That doesn't look like a second hand of nod being added on. So this isn't a triple hand of nod rocket spam kind of transition. Sometimes we do see that, almost a panic reaction, but it turns into a parade push. In this case, it's just one hand of nod. He's going to have black disciples. We would be very surprised if he goes for purifying flame, but we'll see. The score currently is 1-0 in BartJones' favor. To answer your question, Cyberstorm. Rockets moving through the middle. Oh, and the low power mode. Oh, Shoktrepet. He's like 80% of the way done with that upgrade. And one harvester gets grabbed in the middle, so a blue Tiberium harvester gets eaten up by Shoktrepet. BartJones sees this MCV on the move, and this might be a multi-MCV play. And does he actually have the tier 3 close? It looks like it's about 90%. We have to assume that's going to be a tech center so that he can go for obelisks, but we'll see. A couple of flame tanks coming out from BartJones. They're clearing out the middle of the map, but at what cost? A lot of these rockets are going down, but both of these flames look like they're going to be going down as well. And yep, bye-bye. 2 flame tanks down the drain. Catalyst missile lands on at least one of these refineries. Bike buggy cleans up a second harvester, and Shoktrepet's economy continues to underperform, continues to be hurt. Harvesters getting gunned down, and yet there's the tech lab, the sell-off of the secret shrine to try and keep the economy online, and it's going to be a fight over BartJones' third base. Shoktrepet's harvester was all the way over there at the third base of BartJones. Redeemer on the way, possibly already out on the map, and I just missed the audio cue. But no black disciples, it looks like, for BartJones. He's skipped some of those secret shrine upgrades, apparently. And this is not a double expand. So Shoktrepet is just going to keep around his 2-base economy, which is really just 1-base economy at this point. His main base has been completely flat for a couple of minutes here. Another flame tank is going to go down. That's number 3 or 4 from BartJones. They get silenced by Shoktrepet. MCV on the move. BartJones now 14,000 credits more total resources gathered. BartJones is definitely outpacing the economy of Shoktrepet, but that doesn't always mean that he's going to be able to do anything with it. And double obelisk drop, but not enough power to keep them running. All right, finally he comes back online. Double obelisk on the expansion. That's a way to actually take over the field, cause a little bit of awkwardness for BartJones. Shoktrepet manages to get the kill on a harvester, or on a power plant. Now he's going for the harvester with one very low health bike. Middle of the map, gonna get cleared out. If these black hand squads just turn for a moment, they could empty those buildings. And it's the obelisk wars over the third base of BartJones. Shoktrepet, he's here to stay. He has made this his home, and he is hoping this purifier will help him break open the base of BartJones and take control of this space. Supercharged particle beams are pretty good, but that's also an expensive upgrade, and maybe BartJones should have been spending his extra cash on something else instead. Purifier walks forward and then sees the Redeemer coming for him, and he knows he's got to get out of there. Another obelisk gets deployed by BartJones. His Redeemer making its way to the front of the line. Redeemer now going to start picking away at these obelisks, and another Purifier comes forward, but that is no match for what BartJones has. Rage Gen fires off, but it was a little bit too late for that Purifier. And BartJones is going to try and kick Shoktrepet out of this section of the map. Fortunately, Shoktrepet has expanded to his own third. So as his natural expansion, his economy actually gets rolling there. He's going to have a fresh expansion to work off of behind that. And it looks like both players have now actually transitioned to their third bases, which again is not something we necessarily see very often here on Tournament LA. Another harvester going down. No one has claimed the EMP control centers just yet. Couple of bikes swinging through. BartJones gets another harvester kill. And this is something that Shoktrepet has been struggling with this entire game. He keeps building these shredder turrets, but he still has a good way to go before he actually gets his charged particle beams. Assuming that is the upgrade. Yep, okay, there we go. Charged particle beams finally have arrived. A little bit too late, but he will get a couple of kills on exit. BartJones gets a couple more harvesters on the other side of the map. And it looks like his own third base is finally getting up and running. Okay, Decoy Temple of Nod, a curious place to put it, but it does buy a couple of seconds for that Redeemer to escape. I do love that this MCV deploys itself, but the Redeemer is still running away. You'd think it would be here to help fight with this MCV, and now we've got double Shredder turret drops coming in here from BartJones. He's going to play that multi-MCV card that Shoktrepet tried to play earlier. Redeemer makes its way forward. Fire sale on those shredder turrets, and Shoktrepet is going to have to give up his main base, but there is very little there. Okay, the beam cannon didn't need to die, but the rest of this base can be sold off without any consequence. And I do love that this one Confessor Cabal squad made it all the way along the corner of the map, walked through the beachfront, and then ended up there attacking a harvester. That's pretty funny. Flame Tank looks like going down. Second one is here, low on health though. BartJones, with how many flame tanks built this game? 6 or 7, and so far none of them have done anything. He does have 1 or 2 that are still out here on the map, but BartJones has just not been able to make any real progress with those flame tanks this entire game. We'll see if these ones are the magic numbers that he needs. Triple, quadruple power plant ready to be burned down. Looked for a moment like he was about to rage gen the power plants, which would be a very funny thing to do. And that is a heroic Confessor Cabal squad, which I do have to say, those lasers look pretty awesome. And finally, the Black Hand member gets up there and burns down that building. Unfortunately, pretty much all of the Confessor Cabal squads have, or Confessor Cabal members have all been killed off already. One power plant remains. Okay, BartJones turns around. I was like, if this turns into a base trade, which it still very well could, but if this turns into a base trade and Shoktrepet has one power plant down here, BartJones would be kicking himself for leaving that one building. Couple of rocket squads here. They could try and jump on this base. Ooh, bikes, and now Tibcore is done. They're going to shred these harvesters. One harvester low on health, and it's going to be a catalyst missile on top of that. Snipes one of the refineries, and now the bikes are going to commit into the attack. They're going to get themselves a couple more harvesters, but it's going to cost them dearly. Probably every single one of these bikes will lose its life, and the last bike goes down. Oh no, there was one more that I didn't even see. Every single harvester gets eliminated, but the bikes all go down as well. More harvesters for Shoktrepet getting eaten up, and now with this purifier leading the charge, the rockets can actually do some damage to clean out BartJones's main base. And I love the combination of pushing in one area with the Redeemer, although this Redeemer has a lot of infantry to worry about. No stealth field to insta-give the infantry, but a Vapor Bomb will do just as well. And the Redeemer gets EMP'd repeatedly. It will go down. The flame tanks are not fast enough, and it's going to be Shredder turrets versus Shredder turrets, and it's going to be a full-scale sell-off from Shoktrepet. He killed the Redeemer, which is what he cares about, but he has not stopped the onslaught. He has not stopped the front line moving forward, and he hasn't even uprooted BartJones from his own main base. If this goes on for much longer, BartJones is going to have basically a 360-degree surround of Shoktrepet. I guess not quite 360 degrees. You can't really surround on that side with the cliffs and with the water, but everything else will be BartJones if this goes on for too much longer. A couple of bikes gonna get flamed down by that single Black Hand member, and well, there goes Heroic as well. That one Confessor Cabal squad that had, or that one Black Hand member that was left of that Confessor Cabal squad. Rocket's going to start burning down those barracks, but there is still an MCV there, so it's not like there's a lack of build radius. And yeah, the Shredder turrets get deployed. Those charged particle beams chew through that little infantry squad very, very quickly. And Spectres, 2, 3, 4 Spectres trying desperately to kill this one Black Hand member, and they just can't do it. But the GG comes out, and Shoktrepet will throw in the towel. Unfortunately for him, he is not going to be able to survive any longer. BartJones takes 2 in a row. And welcome to Tournament Odyssey. I hope you like mirror matchups, because we are going to be continuing that in our BartJones versus Shoktrepet series. Like I said, if you can't beat him, join him. And in this case, with BartJones leading this series 2-0, I guess you might as well continue to join them. So it is another double Black Hand game. The last one did favor BartJones, which, by the way, big thanks to the players sticking with the same colors. I'm not even using recolor or anything. And look at that, a wild Spartacus joins the fray. His name on Twitch may be Sparty Live, but do not worry, the man is never live. He is never streaming. But I guess he is alive. He is a live person. And in this case, he is live chatting. But we're watching replays anyways, so it doesn't matter. None of this is live. But that's all right. And by the way, this is R21, 1.02 plus R21, and that is 2 bikes. All right, you dirty boy. Are we gonna see 3+ bikes? If it's 3 bikes, we won't get excited. That looks like 4 bikes. This is a war factory into 4 bikes. Now, if you're not super familiar with Kane's Wrath, what BartJones is doing, Harvester first, is the much more common build to go for. The 4 bikes, ooh, and they do get tagged by that Cabal squad. That's a decent amount of health off of that first bike, and that is pretty much maximum scouting. All right, Hand of Nod gets deployed. First rocket squad should arrive right around the time that these bikes show up. It's going to be about the dance. It's going to be about the placement. Power plant to body block as well. Bikes circling around. Shoktrepet knows that he was found out, so he didn't dive right through the middle. Was that that was an accidental force fire, I think. And he splits the bikes. Good control there by Shoktrepet. That is exactly what he wanted to do with those bikes. He sold off the Hand of Nod, so that laser turret is all he's got. But these bikes are committing hard into this attack, and no, they don't get it. There was a little bit of glitchiness there with the pathing of those bikes around that war factory, so maybe you could blame it on the game, but ultimately that is 4 bikes traded for 1 bike. BartJones did have to respond. Quite a bit of that slowed down his economy, but, you know, Shoktrepet did prioritize those 4 bikes over getting his 5 harvesters. He's now set up over at his natural expansion. It looks like his first refinery just did deploy, so I think this is just going to even out. We'll see if those Scorpion tanks manage to do anything. Looks like BartJones is about 100% ready for his first refinery on his natural. And now we're going to put the shoe on the other foot. A couple of Scorpion tanks are going to get some shots against Harvesters, but the defensive units of Shoktrepet should be able to chase this away. Those rockets didn't get a single shot, but the laser turrets are now here. The Scorps are as well. A couple of rockets. Actually, it's just one rocket from Bart. Never mind, 0 rockets from BartJones. And that's pretty much that. Shredder turret might be needed to clean up the rest, but yeah. BartJones and Shoktrepet, they both got some good damage on the other one's Harvesters, but ultimately, it's kind of a zero-sum game. Second refinery should come up here for BartJones relatively quickly, and then it will be very standard looking. Same thing with Shoktrepet. He needs to drop that extra refinery, and then we'll be pretty well set. Total resources gathered, it's 29 versus 29. They're both about to go over to 30,000 at the same time. Shoktrepet is like a few moments sooner, but they are extremely evenly matched in almost every single way. I mean, their army sizes are very similar, 24 versus 26 units. And I mean, considering they're both Blackhand, so extra infantry squads, they're nice, but they're not necessarily game winners. Although if they had Black Disciples, then maybe. This is 5-6 bikes here on the north side. So this could be 2 dead Harvesters. We'll see how BartJones' control is. Ooh, and there we go. We got Operations Center, we got Secret Shrine, upgraded power plant, and we got ourselves a big bike attack on the other side of the map. They're going to be diving on one Harvester. That 6th bike number 6, was a little bit slow to the party, but that's going to be the pullback. All of the bikes, looks like, no, one survives. 1 HP, but he survives that engagement. And the flame tank gets spotted. Another 2 Harvesters going to be going down over here in the main base. And this is a great split for Shoktrepet. He sees the flame tank. He gets himself 2 Harvesters at the main, which were supposed to transition over, and instead they are dead in the field. But the counterattack is coming in. BartJones is going to find his own Harvester damage. 1 down, and it looks like that's all he's going to get. The rocket squads will be able to clean up a couple more of these bikes as they try to exit the area, and they will not be able to. Flame tank once again gets spotted in the middle of the map. Black Disciples have been purchased by Shoktrepet. He's a little bit faster on those upgrades. It didn't work out super well for him in the last game. He's already got charged particle beams as well. He's up to tier 3. He is not going super fast Redeemer. He went upgrades instead of Redeemer. He could have put that cash into an epic unit, and he decided not to. That is 2 decoy tanks right there at the front. We'll see. And once again, BartJones believes in the one-click. He calls in that catalyst missile. He gets one of the refineries before the 3rd base comes up. He is sniping refineries. And we'll see if this flame tank will actually be able to make a difference. BartJones hasn't been able to do anything with the flame tank, but maybe Shoktrepet will finally be able to make something happen. He's going for the refinery, and he's going to be getting at least that. These bikes will be able to stop the flame tank, but not before that refinery goes down. Bye-bye, refinery. Flame tanks might even get torched as well. 2nd refinery. Oh, he's continuing to go for the bikes. He gets 2, so that's actually some nice value, but he really wants to get the war factory or another refinery. Either one would be a good target. In this case, this flame tank is going to go down to the bikes, but he goes heroic and he gets the war factory anyways. Going for a power plant and gets that refinery, power plant, war factory, and he is going to also be spotting out that Redeemer engineering facility. He knows what is coming his way, and BartJones, he's had his natural expansion cracked open, but he has an opportunity to strike back. Redeemer for Shoktrepet. He is woken up and he is ready to go. Shocky boy. He takes 2 game losses right there at the beginning of this series, but now he is looking fantastic in game number 3. That flame tank really helped even things out, especially in the overall momentum of the series. And now Shoktrepet, he's faster up to the high ground. No multi-MCV, it looks like, so he is faster up to the high ground regardless, but that expansion slowdown is extremely nice for Shoktrepet. The fact he was able to slow down BartJones' expansion by so much. You got the kill over in the main base. He followed it up with that flame tank at the natural, and that was just a great 1-2-3 punch from Shoktrepet in the middle of this game. Refinery comes up. Look at this. Shoktrepet is starting to really build a strong foundation. I was going to say get ahead, but he really is even. He's pretty even on the economy. However, being faster to that third base by this much means that the next couple of minutes, the economy could absolutely shoot off for Shoktrepet and just eclipse BartJones. Couple of bikes swinging around. I think that was an engineer's snipe, which is a bit unfortunate for BartJones. And BartJones, he went in dozer blades on those Scorpions a long time ago, but we haven't seen a ton of Scorpion tanks, and it's kind of been a lot of bikes from both sides, and now we're into the Redeemer phase of the game, so I'm not sure if the dozer blades were a particularly good choice. Another Harvester goes down. Couple of pieces of action exploding in different areas of the map. Tib Core bikes, that definitely is a good upgrade, Tib Core, and it is going to be Harvesters getting targeted down on both sides of the map, and those Tib Core mean that it's a lot more damage output per bike. Tiberium Seed gets deployed, and these bikes have found the perfect spot. They're going to get a third Harvester kill for the team of BartJones. This actually does mean something if they get a fourth Harvester. Oh, come on. Oh, it's not enough. Barely. The Harvester survives. Shoktrepet having such luck with these units. A couple of different units surviving with the smallest amount of HP. A Redeemer on one side and a Purifier on the other. But just a Redeemer on one side burning down the main base of BartJones. He's got his third. He has got his expansion on the high ground, but he just lost his last refinery at his natural. And this Redeemer doesn't have to finish the job because Shoktrepet takes his first win of the series. So welcome to Toxicity, a new map to me, and maybe this map existed in R20 of 1.02 plus, the Kane's Wrath community patch, but if it did, I didn't ever see any games on it. And instead, we're seeing it here on R21. You may be seeing the blues, seeing the screen, and you're thinking, he's playing Trav again, but this is Shoktrepet, and he is playing Reaper 17. So we get to see our first Reaper game of the day, and of course on the right side, sticking with yellow, sticking with black hand, this is BartJones. BartJones versus Shoktrepet. It has worked out pretty well so far for BartJones. He's up 3-1 in the map score in this best of 11. But we're also seeing a Scrin faction that we haven't seen before, and they can be quite a powerful mid-game faction. Once again, I'm quite unfamiliar with this map. I have not seen Toxicity before. Although I think I may have actually queued up a test game on this map because this is looking kind of familiar. You've got this almost fake path around the mountains and then it just runs into the edge of the map. So your main base is kind of choked up. You've got this narrow entrance here and then these two entrances here, which are pretty big, but of course you do have a tip spike and some terrain breaking up that entrance. So it's not a super clear big entrance. It is a decent-sized entrance. And then you got this little back door area, but, you know, nothing can really happen there. I guess you could hide some aircraft there, try and hide some tech there, but not much more than that. A little corner spot where it feels like there should be a tib spike here. But again, no tib spike there. It's just a little safe spot. Little corner. I feel like this map has a couple of little cutesy angles where you could try and hide stuff. Maybe if you're going aircraft and you don't want your opponent to know, or you're just trying to plant some tech there of some kind. Double tip spike on this map as well. Shared blue down in the middle, you know, slightly south of the middle of the map. And look at this. Harvester headed there super duper early for Shoktrepet. BartJones is feeling good, maybe, but he has not had to deal with Reaper 17. And sometimes those Reaper 17 mid-game punches can just be game-ending for some of these other factions. We'll see. Maybe we'll get to see the Panic triple hand of nod man spam. We'll see just that terror in his eyes as he deploys as many units as he possibly can. Buzzer Squad comes through. Good scouting pattern from Shoktrepet. Gets a nice look at the map of his opponent, you know, around the 4-minute mark. Yeah, 3.5-minute mark, same thing. Second War Factory comes up at the natural expansion. Very short walk between your main and your natural. These two bases are practically joined together. Nerve center right on the edge of the build radius there. And this is one of those... Oh! We all do it. Sooner or later, we all do it, and we always feel bad for it. So we feel your pain, BartJones, dropping down that refiner in an extremely awkward angle. And it is possible that that's the only place he could drop it down because of how the terrain in the build radius works out. Maybe on this map, you do need to deploy your MCV a little bit further forward so that you have more build radius to make up for the fact that you've got this mountain to deal with, this terrain on the edge of that expansion. And a second harvester. Okay, that must be the same harvester, just auto returning to that blue Tiberium field. And that's a bit unfortunate. It is going to take a lot of damage from these Scorpions. They might commit all the way for the kill, but no, they back off. And Shoktrepet, he has got the shields on all of his units. He's got attenuated force fields, and he is ready to go. He hasn't got the shard launcher upgrade yet. I think he's... Yeah, instead of going tier 3 right away, he went for his eco, but his tier 3 should be... Oh, that must be it, finishing up right there. Where did it go? Okay, there we go. Tier 3 in the back of the base. Decent number of harvesters from both players, and BartJones is actually up 4 or 5 grand in total resources gathered over the Scrin player, which a lot of times you do see the Scrin player be up 4 to 5 grand at this point, as opposed to the other way around. Flame tank gets spotted. If you ever find yourself driving a flame tank for BartJones, just know there's a 90% chance that you die before doing anything. And this harvester, oh, Shoktrepet. The blue Tiberium was calling him, and now he has actually paid the price for it. Dozer Blades finish up, and we'll see if they're able to go for the crush on this on these infantry. Storm Column gets deployed. Our first Reaper tripod is out on the map. He's going to be able to shut down this War Factory, which will be a nice kill, and getting the Reaper tripod after that would be a nice follow-up as well. But 2 Scorpion tanks down to the crush, a 3rd down to the EMP, and the Scorpion tank attack is fizzling out here. Flame tank gonna be going for the harvester. No, that's not what you want. The Scorpions go down, and now the flame tank will choose the force fire in between the buildings. He'll get the War Factory, he'll get the refinery, and there's still a decent amount of cash here on this field. That is the income, or that is the production of Shoktrepet almost dealt with there. Catalyst missile lands, takes out the refinery. The crane and the tier 3 do survive that attack in the south, but the flame tank finally finds some damage and does some good for BartJones in the north. I was a little bit worried about BartJones heading into this game. He is still up in map score, so it doesn't matter in that sense, but I was a little bit worried for him because Shoktrepet can be really good with these Scrin armies and with these mid to late game power-ups, but I feel like those last couple of minutes, that went really well into BartJones' favor, and he definitely has a chance to take this game as well. It's, of course, not done and dusted. A Redeemer would be a nice addition, and a way to shut down these tripods that are headed for his 3rd is going to be very essential. But he's got his first Purifier, and this is his 2nd MCV out on the map, so 2 purifiers slowly making their way over there for that expansion protection here. As the tripods kind of get separated out here. They are charged up and ready to go. Double obelisk gets deployed onto the front line, and this one purifier is going to get jumped on. The obelisks helping to nail one of these tripods down, and well, the 4th tripod finally got in on the action. The harvesters are now being targeted, and BartJones might be losing himself a lot of harvesters. One goes down, the others evacuate. They manage to get away, but now these refineries are exposed, and this obelisk is not enough to defend this entire build area. Tripods going for the refinery. They need to just move over to the side now that the Redeemer Engineering Facility has revealed itself. I'm not sure that they're going to be able to get too much more. Refinery does go down. Obelisk gets a shot. No! The tripods step out of range just in time. Charge back up on that Tiberium. Get the last couple of shots against these Scorpions. Is going to go for the Husk kill as well. Yes, he is. Denies the Husk capture. The bridge does not get sniped here by BartJones. Counterattack. Ooh, we got ourselves some blue shards in the north. This could be a good split map situation for Shoktrepet. Flame tank gets spotted in the middle of the map, hunting a harvester. Unfortunately for BartJones, another one of his flame tanks that won't necessarily do anything. Eradicator Hexapod is on the way. Double refinery at the expansion, and 1 tripod made it back home from that excursion. Well, Gunwalkers versus some very beaten up Scorpion tanks. If the Gunwalkers would have committed into the attack, they would have won the fight, but they may have lost their lives in the end. Harvesters set upon this field, and 1 single Black Hands member in the middle of the 3rd base of Shoktrepet. Good number of these games are going into the late game. We're actually getting to see macro games right here in R21. And this tripod gives so much more base killing potential to this force. I mean, blue Shardwalkers are pretty good, but the tripod actually gives him some anchoring potential. He is going to be backing off. He could have actually gone for the tier 3 probably. He does back off. I guess he wants to head down south. Eradicator Hexapod is out on the map. Tripods pick up another flame tank kill. Those flame tanks never getting anything done. Yeah, this is 2 upgraded power plants right on the edge. A little cluster of power plants here that BartJones is potentially vulnerable to losing. And BartJones, he has built up this southern expansion, and that is now his stronghold. He does still have an obelisk up top. He does still have a base and an MCV up top. But, oh, this is a lot of tripods. This is a lot of tripods. Stasis grabs that Redeemer, and the tripods are going to move into position. 2 descents inside of that Eradicator, and the EMPs are going to be here as soon as this stasis wears off. That Eradicator, or that Redeemer is going to get locked down. The Rage Gen does not fire off, and the Shard Launchers are swinging in from the north to help deal with the rockets. Redeemer goes bye-bye, and all of the support staff are just left in the lurch. The MCV was too far behind. No obelisk drops to help out with that fight, and instead the tripods and the Shardwalkers just make their way forward. This Eradicator Hexapod chomping everything in front of it. The MCV gets torn to shreds, and BartJones did not do a body count of those tripods before he set out with that attack. And now everyone's going home in body bags with toe tags. And BartJones looks like he's going to be taking his second L of the series. Obelisk lined up. This is a triple barracks down here. I feel like an Eradicator and, oh, he actually lost almost all of the tripods. Okay, no, never mind. Those 2 tripods, they looked like they were dead on the ground for a moment there. But he's got 3 tripods, he's got a good number of shard walkers, and he's got repair drones on the front line. Now with the Corruptors healing up this Eradicator, this army is here to stay. BartJones' third base is going to need a lot more defense to hold off this Skrin army. And, well, another Redeemer would be a nice touch, but I feel like this is maybe too little too late. If this Redeemer had some avatars or some beam cannons or something else, maybe some Spectres to back it up, then a rate gen could be massive, but I think everything already has been given attack commands, and I would be extremely worried about any tripods closing the distance on that Redeemer and getting another EMP, because then that'll just be another dead Redeemer. You can pick off the shard walkers, that's for sure. I'm not so sure that you can get the rest of this Skrin army. Okay, BartJones is not giving up. He's going to lose a lot of harvesters here. Oh, no, this is so many harvesters in this little clump. That was 4 or 5 harvesters that were at this base, at least. And there's the GG. Shoktrepet gets his second win. Makes the score 2-3 on toxicity. This match is on pipeline problems, so let's kick it off with the player in the north, playing Cyan, playing Reaper 17. This is Shoktrepet. Meanwhile, on the south side, kicking it as the yellow, playing the black hand, this is BartJones. We press one button, and here we are. We've got that new design courtesy of Drive, and we've got some new features as well. If you cast your eyes to the bottom of the screen, you will see more text than we've ever had before. Double Evil has cooked up a income averaging solution. So what you'll see there at the bottom is the average income per minute for each player. That's why it's listed as plus, in this case, 2.5K, 2.6K for BartJones. It is averaging the income over the last 60 minutes to give you kind of an at-the-moment look at what the economic situation of each player is. And then other than that, all of the information is the same. It's just featuring a new design from Drive, which I'm super excited about. I love Drive's design style. It's super clean, the way that he has presented everything here. And you'll also notice on the stream version, we have the scores up as well. And we'll just do a little thing. Look at that. We can also swap which player is on the top and the bottom. So Shoktrepet is on the top of the map here, and he'll be on the top of the UI, which is one of those things that I appreciate, but I've done some tests where I have not oriented it that way, and literally no one has ever mentioned it. So I guess I care about it, but no one else cares enough that if they're bothered by it, that they actually say anything. However, we have got a new game on our hands. It's a continuation of this series, which I guess if you're watching the YouTube VOD, this is like moments after the last game, but for me it's been like a week since these games. So BartJones, he was doing pretty good. He was up, I think, 3-1 against Shoktrepet earlier on in this series, and then Shoktrepet took another game, getting us very close to an even match. Shoktrepet playing random and drawing Reaper 17 here in this game. Harvesters on the blue field going to be taking a little bit of damage. Shouldn't be too much, but he might get, if he gets one Harvester, then this attack suddenly becomes a lot more worth it. But at the current moment, it's laser fences, which are not free, versus a lightning spike and these tanks. Goodbye to the tanks, and that is going to be it for this lightning spike as well. No dead Harvesters. Shoktrepet commits into the attack, but he doesn't really get anything for it. Not a great attack by Shoktrepet, but he's into tier 3. His economy is looking pretty solid. Both of these guys sitting at about 18K, which is a bit more than you would expect at this point in a regular game. Ooh, we got some flame tanks out here for BartJones as well, and keep in mind these are black hand flame tanks. So we'll see if he's if he's gonna get any real damage done with him. BartJones has not done much with flame tanks in this series. He's certainly tried, not from a lack of trying for sure, but BartJones has not been able to get very much done with his flame tanks. We'll see. Maybe they can sneak around the side. Yeah, so as the blue fields dry up, we can see that plus, 18k dropping a bit for both of these players. BartJones still in a better economic position. Shoktrepet drawing almost a zero on his bank account. BartJones, on the other hand, is floating a little bit of cash. He's been loving his one-clicks as well, so that cash might be directed towards some one-clicks. And 3 Scorpion tanks, they do not a massive army make, so I really love that BartJones is trying to get anything that he can, going for that stasis chamber, but he doesn't actually get it. Nice defense by our Reaper 17 Shoktrepet, who also finds this infantry army on the left side of the map and will be able to shut that down. A couple of Shardwalkers clean up over there on the left side, and it's going to be beam cannons as the follow-up for BartJones. Something about Nod players, they love their beam cannons. And then, oh, reverse move bug. Unless he truly decided to reverse move that Shardwalker into the enemy line, which I don't think he did. Then that was a bit of a reverse move bug, killing off that Shardwalker. Flame Tank moves in. Flame Tank could get the tier 3 here. Tripods are moving in to go for the kill, and we'll see if they can find it. There's the force fire on the ground. No, okay, he does just go for the tier 3, and one moment before that Flame Tank goes down, he gets the tier 3. And you know what? That was just such a inflamed moment that we got to take a look at that again. How was that? Ooh, actually, where did that? He got his refinery. All right, that's enough of that. We saw the refinery go down, barely there to the one click, as I get used to pressing these new buttons that I've never had to press before. Gets the barracks, gets the obelisk. A big chunk of this front line is disrupted, and Shoktrepet is looking to take this 3-2 and make it a 3-3. Shoktrepet is hoping to even this score up. He brings even his drone ship to the front line. 3 tripods versus a Redeemer. Not much more than that. These beam cannons over here on the left side, they're going to try and help out. The EMP does lock down this Redeemer as the Rage Gen fires off. These tripods were already given their kill command on that Redeemer. Blackhand making their way to the front lines, and it looks like the Redeemer will survive for now. Is there going to be enough firepower in the Nod army to hold on? It looks like yes. In terms of the tripods, no reinforcing tripods are coming in. That tier 3 kill from back here was such a killer feature here for BartJones, and Shoktrepet has been defeated. BartJones gets the win, and you know what? All right, welcome to game number 7. These folks have been putting out some matches, but, maybe not all of them will make it to the YouTube channel. So maybe on the YouTube version of this video, it'll be a bit shorter. I have no idea where the spawns are on this map. I know what they are. Oh, wow. I'm all over the place. Okay, so here we are, kicking it off in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, playing Reaper 17 once again. This is Shoktrepet. Meanwhile, in the top right-hand corner of the map, kicking it off as GDI. That's right, he's not sticking with Blackhand. This guy is mixing it up, playing GDI. This is BartJones. BartJones bringing us some GDI play, and look at that. We've got the UI all set up correctly, and oh. I accidentally sent the audio to my speakers, which is literally just the speaker built into the monitor, because I just use headphones here. And I was like, wait, I can't hear the game, but then I figured out what it was. So we're fine. There are no real problems. I don't remember what the name of this map is. It's something, but that's okay. BartJones kicking it with a 4-point score. He's 2 points up over Shoktrepet, who has been struggling a little bit in this show match. Decent number of descents along the southern edge of the map, but these are Reaper 17 descents. These are not Traveler descents, so no fast legs for that guy. He is going to be making his slow leg way around the edge of the map. And he's going to be hoping that he catches some bit of unawareness of BartJones. He's hoping that he can, you know, catch BartJones unaware and find some damage there. Now, if you ever see a scrim player doing this, they are bunching up their descents. You force fire on the ground so that all of your descents bunch up. And as long as you don't run into GDI mines, having your descents all bunched up and super tight together is a huge advantage when it comes to damage output of actually getting on top of your enemy units. When the descents spread out like this, you can be thinned out a little easier and not necessarily have everything attack all at once. So when it comes to burst damage, you can burst down infantry and units a lot faster when they're clumped together super tightly. But in this case, I don't know that it's going to make a big difference. There's a couple of APCs, a couple of watchtowers here, even a rifleman getting in on the action. BartJones sees these descents. His refinery comes up, and he's going to be able to kill off that little group of units. So bye-bye to all of those descents. They are not long for this world. I guess they're not even ever for this world because they're dead now. A couple of APC rockets going to be going for these shard walkers on the left side of the map. Little building grabbed up here. I thought maybe that was a second tech structure, but it is 2 TIB spikes per player on this map. And then you got a defensive tower over there in the corner. EMP control center in the middle, and then a mutant hovel in the corner as well. So little spread of buildings to be captured. Reaper 17 going for the crane. Shoktrepet goes crane, goes nerve center, and goes pretty big on the eco as well. BartJones is doing a good job of keeping up in the overall economy. He's lagging behind a bit, but not a dangerous amount yet. The number of harvesters on the natural expansion are looking good for both players. And Shoktrepet probably does have more harvesters overall, which is not a surprise for a scrim player. Relatively quick third base coming up here for Shoktrepet. BartJones, on the other hand, happy to sit on his 2 bases for a little bit longer. Mine Drop cleans up those descents, and the Buzzer Swarm, the Buzzer Hive is going to help clean up those mines. APCs need to get on out of here, otherwise they are going to be getting clobbered by the reinforcing Reaper 17 forces coming in. Mine Drop on the field, good use of these APCs by BartJones. Shoktrepet up against the wall or nearly here with this 2-4 map score that he's got going on. Airfield on the map for BartJones. Not going double airfield, but he is going orcas. So the orcas coming in for the kill, and the APC's happy to drag all of these units out of position. However, these orcas may end up flying over top of some shard walkers. One orca gives away the play. The orca gets spotted. The other 3 will make their way safely to the main base. There's a number of harvesters there. One shard walker moving into position, reverse moving into position, and they have force fields, which means every single unit is going to be tougher to kill. The orcas will get 1 harvester here, and there's going to be the sell-off of one of the refineries. Shoktrepet will lose a second harvester, but his eco is so solid that I'm not sure it's really going to matter. Tier 3 is up for Shoktrepet. He could be going blue shards off of that. He could be going force fields for his tripods, getting those force field generators up and running. And the orcas get caught on the way home. Every single orca goes down. Unfortunately for BartJones, his air superiority is not going to be keeping up. BartJones hoping to get some more kills with those orcas, and then they end up all going down. We do have mammoth tanks out on the field. Always glad to see some mammoth tanks. Railguns as well, finishing up moments ago. But the first railguns out on the map and the first Marv out on the map ahead of the Eradicator Hexapod, but probably not by that much. Multi-MCV out on the field as well. This is a lot of tripods. Decent amount of units out from Shoktrepet, and BartJones' economy has been doing a pretty good job of keeping pace with Shoktrepet, but overall, Shoktrepet is starting to gain that total resources gathered advantage, plus about 8,000 right now. And if that keeps climbing with the faster third base, with the bigger harvester boom, then it could be a war of attrition that will be won by the alien lasers of Shoktrepet. He has expanded quickly. He has expanded aggressively. This foundry was apparently the exactly right choice because Shoktrepet goes for that crane, and he has been utilizing that, has been making use of that double build queue. We'll see if he's able to deal with these hammerheads. Sonic emitter shows up as well. Oh, he fires off his shockwave artillery. We'll see if it makes a big difference. Or I guess he fires off his Orca Strike. Shockwave artillery. I would have swore I heard that sound cue somewhere. Sonic emitter comes in. Orca Strike comes in. Tries to light up those tripods. Refinery getting dropped to body block. Not something you see very often, but it doesn't matter. The EMP locks down the Marv. The EMP isn't enough to kill the Marv, though. And it looks like those tripods are going to survive the day. The phase will allow them to walk away from that fight. And the longer that BartJones can keep the attention off of his third base, he can get that economy, he can keep that economy rolling. I mean, he's no slouch in the economy front in this game. Shoktrepet has been leading the eco, but not by so much that BartJones just has nothing at home. I guess he's going to be losing this MCV and losing this Marv as well. This is a lot of tripods. Blue shards have finished up as well, so these are pretty much fully upgraded late game screen units. Okay, he doesn't have conversion reserves, but we might see the beginnings of a base trade here. No, the mammoth tanks are all coming back up north. They're all looking for the fight. The Marv will go down. The Conyard is now under threat, and it looks like BartJones is going to have to find a different place to call home. Mammoth tank gets absolutely clobbered there, and his mammoth tanks are now like, uh-oh, I'm not sure that this was a great idea. Predator tanks on the other side of the map are going to be pushing in. They're going for the snipe on the tier 3, and they will get it. So that's a potential deny of any more tripods from coming out on the map. These predators are pretty much all for the grave. Yeah, those descents will make sure that none of them escape. And BartJones' once mighty army has been split up, cut apart, and well, I guess the Eradicator Hexapod isn't here, which is nice for BartJones, but who is going to be able to clean up this attack? Juggernauts on the back line, the tripods ready to turn and run, and those Juggernauts, every shot they get off before the fight even starts matters so much. Mammoth Tank's going to be able to get at least one tripod, maybe a second tripod on exit. BartJones saves his base, and BartJones keeps his hopes alive in this game. 5K in the bank for Shoktrepet. Yeah, 2 build queues is nice, but when you lose something like 2 tier 3, 2 build queues doesn't make any difference at all. Tripods being bled out as the action continues. BartJones has his own troubles back at home to worry about as the Harvester gets jumped on. These descents will find at least 1 kill, and they might even get a second Harvester. They split their attacks between a couple of Harvesters, and well, BartJones' economy will survive the descents, but it might not survive this Eradicator Hexapod. He's got some shock troopers inside of that Eradicator, and there is not much defense back at home in the south. Tripods marching their way forward, and just like before, BartJones' defense is not all together. It is not unified, and so one Mammoth Tank will pay the price. I think most of the, well, okay, maybe not those Mammoth Tanks. I think most of these other Mammoth Tanks will be able to make it back to a stronger position. EMP comes in, locks down that Eradicator Hexapod. Corruptors are here, but the phase, always a powerful ability to get yourself out of a bind. Mammoth tanks are here. This is a lot of mammoths ready to go. And BartJones says, if you want to fight, I'm here and ready to fight. The Juggernauts are all down south. No, they're making their way back up north. They're going to be able to get a couple of shots off here. The tripods can trade against the mammoth tanks, but not with the Juggernauts following up on the attack. A very chaotic game from both players. The pushes come, and right as there's a push, there's a counterattack somewhere else. And the phase has already been used. Grenadiers coming to the front line. They've got those EMP grenades, and they are ready to go. The Eradicator Hexapod getting targeted down, and that's going to be good night to Mama Eradicator, as there is going to be one big dead scrin unit. Tripods making their way to the front lines now. A new front has opened up. Never content to sit and wait, these two players are going to fight it out in every corner of this map. BartJones looking to keep his winning streak alive, but his main base will collapse under the weight of all these lasers. The defense is there. It's just, well, it's not there. It's spread out all across the map. 4 or 5 tripods is not enough to crush BartJones, but it is enough to kill off that one base. Tripod takes a lot of damage as soon as those Juggernauts get in range, and Shoktrepet is looking to just pull BartJones apart, pushing in here and there, attacking in the north and then in the south, and BartJones is able to deal with all of it as long as his units are actually in position. The tripods get eaten up, and this massive GDI force has been able to fight on multiple fronts. It is slow moving, and it often leaves big sections of the map exposed, but you know, that's the price you pay when you play GDI, when you've got all of these incredibly powerful units, and then they're just on the wrong side of the map. So the tripods are here, tearing up the third base of BartJones. Shoktrepet has done a phenomenal job of keeping the fight on the Bart side of the map, but he does pay a price. And in this case, he didn't even crush the base. The harvesters can still get back to work here, and the MCV in the middle of the map gets annihilated. The Juggernauts are making their way forward. And what does Shoktrepet actually have back at home? He's got an Eradicator, not a lot of Corruptors, nothing inside that Eradicator to do bonus damage. But the tripods, if they could close the distance with the Juggernauts, could shred them. The Mammoth tanks are sort of the trouble, and Shoktrepet says, no, we're not gonna do that. His tripods split off. 1-2 Shock Troopers inside of this Eradicator. And I guess it's, okay, he's going third Shock Troopers, but I guess it's just going to be Eradicator to try and delay. Phase and Stasis may be back up. I'm not sure that he actually has the cash on hand to use those. With less than $3 grand in the bank, it's going to be a difficult fight for Shoktrepet. And okay, he decides the tripods are going to come back to the front line. They're going to come back to defend the homeland. I was wondering where he was sending them. And in this case, Tier 3 gets sniped again. He pulls off the Tier 3 snipe twice in this game at least. He shuts down those tripod numbers, and check this out. BartJones picks himself up 4 fresh tripods. And now that income advantage, which has grown to 20,000 credits for Shoktrepet, just has very little to show for it. EMP Grenadiers are here. They're getting cut down as they make their way to the front line. A couple of tripods from BartJones, going to be able to clean up a couple of harvesters from Shoktrepet. And of course, that's no surprise. But BartJones has got a massive army, and for I think the first time in the game, it's actually all together. Orbital bombardment coming in as well. He's looking to end the game. There's the Stasis, going to be able to lock down those tripods, and a little bit of cash still in the bank. 2 grand here for Shoktrepet, so he's almost got enough for that phase. The tripods get eaten up, and Shoktrepet is okay, or BartJones is okay with that. A lot of tripod husks out here for whoever is able to claim them. The Juggernauts are locked down, but the Mammoth tanks are dwindling in numbers. One of them very low on health as the Jugs come back online. They are here and ready to fight. And now with the full army, it looks like Shoktrepet will collapse. This Eradicator, if he could blink on top of those Jugs, maybe he could make something happen, but no blink inside of that Eradicator, and that's going to be another dead epic unit here in this game. Shoktrepet had one final hope that he could play out with some one-clicks, and he wasn't able to make it happen. So BartJones will take the game. He will get the extra point there, and it's 5-2, rounding out game number 7. BartJones and Shoktrepet not quite able to do it. This is tournament decision. Nope, Tournament Dust Bowl here in one of the original maps, but the no poker variant of it. Meanwhile, in the north, going to be playing as the Marked of Cain. This is Shoktrepet. And in the south, it is the one, the only, playing GDI. This is BartJones. BartJones versus Shoktrepet. Well, I mean, you can tell from the scoreboard, it has been going mostly in BartJones' favor. Shoktrepet not having the best showing in this case. He's been holding his own in a lot of these games, and a number of them have been slim margin wins by BartJones. A couple of them have been bops. I guess we get the reverse bop there, but in that last game, but it's still favoring BartJones. Playing GDI, very strong faction, but up against Marked of Cain. Is this a Marked of Cain bike rush? Are we getting the return of the Marked of Cain bike rush here? Maybe, maybe not. 2 bikes does not much of a bike rush make. 3 bikes. Okay, so he goes for the second refinery. 3 bikes, not necessarily going to get a lot of damage done. Oh, and the EMPs aren't going to land because the APC with the Rifleman gets the kill on that Awakened squad. I imagine there were supposed to be some EMPs accompanying these bikes, and then suddenly 3 bikes and some EMPs. Well, that is a lot scarier. There's nothing actually coming out of the War Factory. It's going to be a pit bull here. So the pit bull is late. That APC gets cleaned up, but now the pit bull is out, and the watchtower is here for defense as well. Double pit bull. Things are looking a lot better now for BartJones. And yep, he's going to have to skate on out of here. Unfortunate for Shoktrepet, but he will have to escape. Welcome to the Cain's Wrath side of things once again, Dutch Army. Natural expansion coming up for both of these guys. The early aggression is not going to be netting much of anything for Shoktrepet. He tried. It didn't quite work out. Is going a couple more bikes as well. But, you know, I guess it'll just sort of come out in the wash. Be more decided in the next couple of minutes than it was in that first attack. Refinery at the natural. And refinery at the natural. Okay, so both players going for the third refinery. No, like, attempts at the big War Factory aggression spike. It hasn't been super crazy eco from Shoktrepet. He has been getting a couple of those safety bikes and buggies. Rifleman trying to dig in next to that Tiberium field, always a dangerous prospect. But they do get the scout on those bikes as they're crossing across the right side of the map. and looking for some damage. Here's attempt number 2 by Shoktrepet. He's going to be able to get a jump on one harvester. He doesn't fully commit. He doesn't want to sacrifice all of the bikes, so he will pull away. And the lower health bike cycled to the back. Nicely done there by Shoktrepet. Perfect splitting of the damage across all of these units, pretty much. That's about to end as these pit bulls close in. And no, for the current moment. All right, there's the first bike to go down. That was pretty much perfect damage splitting. Some of that was intentional by Shoktrepet's control, and some of that was a little bit just random with where BartJones' units were attacking. All right, double refinery into the command post for BartJones. Double refinery into the operations center. So the same thing coming out here from Shoktrepet. Pitbull's going to be moving in for the attack. They'll get pushed away. A little bit of a bop there. Airfield comes up. Orcas didn't work super well in that Reaper 17 game, but they're working better here. They're working better in this case. Well, potentially working better here. And he's going hammerheads. Okay. So no orcas. No orcas for BartJones, but hammerheads are a yes. A couple of rocket squads here. No rush to the third. It's going to be Shoktrepet's going to be happier to go for that tier 3 on his natural. And tier 3 comes up for BartJones as well. Secret shrine. Where's that tier 3 gonna land? Okay, right there next to the MCV. Immediately starts researching supercharged particle beam or tib core missiles. Could be either one. Could be going in either direction. If he really wants supercharged particle beams for something, I would love to see an infantry transition, a big ol' infantry transition, but multi-MCV. You know, he could be going obelisks. But some players do like their supercharged particle beams, unless, of course, he's going for a big ol' swell of bike buggy. He never did get his second war factory. Shoktrepet has completely negated the second war factory and instead has gone for tech, and he's going to go avatars as well. MCV making its way towards that third of BartJones. And immediately sees that fake harvester and immediately snipes it. Bike buggy going to be pulling back. BartJones decides to go for the expansion on the left. I don't know if he was hoping to do the same thing, but in this case, they're just going to be taking alternate thirds. That's going to turn out quite nicely for both players. It's not necessarily going to be some big problem for either one. Neither one of them is going to get jumped on in a dangerous way. And refinery comes up. So everyone's happy. Everyone's just chilling, and they're all fine with hanging out for a minute and not attacking. They're like, all right, I guess we both get third bases. He did get fast legs. What actually is it called? Cybernetic legs. I almost called it advanced articulators, which would be a little bit silly. Well, and there is going to be the kill of that refinery. Multi-MCV is a fun game that just about anyone can play. We'll see who it actually works out for better in this case. It's going to be multi-MCV on 2 different sides of the map. So multi-MCV is a dangerous game sometimes. You overspend, you overextend yourself. And then other times it's just about having a bunch of sonic emitters dropped in your opponent's base right, you know, in concert. 3 or 4 of them being deployed. Juggernauts behind the multi-MCV. Now that's a killer move for sure. A base killer move. What's going on over here? It's just a couple of rockets. A couple of rockets and MCV. Double obelisk drop. Love it. Would have loved some EMPs or some real firepower coming out here from Shoktrepet. In this case, he's not quite going to find it. Avatars are here and EMPs could land. So maybe there is a chance for Shoktrepet to really come through and crush this Marv. He's gonna need a little bit more than what he's got. bikes, they've got those Tib core upgrades. EMP lands on the Marv. Once again, not a lot of damage output on the Marv to actually do anything about it. Sonic Emitter is going to be getting jumped on. And it looks like rockets on the left side of the map are moving into that base, but it's the bike buggy support that's going to be hoping to get the real damage done. Mines do get dropped. Meanwhile, on the right side of the map, the Marv down in health, but the Juggernauts are going to be keeping those avatars back, so the Marv will be able to escape, and it's going to be bikes jumping on these harvesters. 1, 2, not quite 3. The rockets are trying their best. The bikes are trying their best, but it's falling a little bit flat here for Shoktrepet. He gets some damage. Ooh, if he can keep this up with some obelisk drops, maybe he can take over that entire base. He's definitely going to be losing his base on the right side to the Juggernaut. The Marv is going to ensure that there is no escape, but those stealth harvesters might be able to make their way out in time. And the base collapses, so they're able to do the do-si-do. They are able to execute the order that just swaps bases. A little bit like doing that, but instead of just swapping position on the scoreboard, actually swapping their third bases. A couple of power plants left over, an unfortunate harvester returning to that field. And it looks like Shoktrepet is going to be able to take over BartJones' spot, and BartJones is going to be able to take over Shoktrepet's spot. And the harvester does go down. Always sad to see a harvester neglected, but we all do it. We all do it. And while we wait for this next moment to happen, let's just take a look at that sick play that happened. I don't remember what the replay was of. I just wanted to show off the replay, and then, you know, when things get exciting, we can head back to the main game with these bikes coming in. I keep hovering my finger over the, like, save replay button, and then I'm like, I don't know that that's really worth saving a replay of, but, you know, we'll try and sneak a couple more in here, maybe as this game goes on. And another harvester sent back to this field. Just auto returning to this field, not sent back to the field. Ooh, and the EMP, you try to predict where the units are gonna be, and then they just stop moving. And there's a lot of infantry that's gonna get shredded by this shredder turret powered up with that supercharged particle beams and the quad turrets. That is a powerful shredder turret for sure. Okay, no, the Juggernauts are not unsupported. I was a little bit cautious with these Juggernauts, but they have a Marv backing them up. And the Venoms are going to be able to come in here, snipe all of the rocket squads, and now suddenly there's no anti-air. If this army dies to 3 Venoms, that is going to be pretty hilarious. But the Juggernauts are starting to pound away at this base. So far, it's just Shredder turrets taking that damage, absorbing the seconds, giving Shoktrepet more time to try and respond. A couple of bikes, they'd be able to come in here and do some damage. It's going to be the laser fence on the con yard, and the stealth as well. Pitbull heads to the front line. APCs and Pitbulls are here, so the anti-air is getting beefed up. 2 avatars, and that's pretty much it. Vapor, no, mine drop comes in. It's not even proper mines, it's magnetic mines. 1 Juggernaut will get sniped, but every single bike goes down, and the second Juggernaut will fall. And hey, magnetic mines, they're doing that damage over time, but with double engineer inside of that Marv, it's just not that big of a deal. EMP lands on the Juggernauts, but the Enlightened are not able, or the Awakened, Enlightened, are not able to get the kill. Vertigo Bomber comes in and gets sniped trying to exit. The Juggernauts survive the bombing run, and the Vertigo does not. Pretty much everything's turning up in favor of the GDI player in this game. And oh no, that's not even a stealthy boy on the other side of the map making some damage happen. EMP lands. This is doing nothing to stop the Marv, but at least these Juggernauts will get sniped and be dead. Juggernaut, okay, there we go. The Juggernaut does get sniped and will be dead, so now there's no more artillery. If the EMPs keep up on the rest of this army, maybe this Marv does have a chance of going down. EMP misses the Marv. Vertigo's coming in. These ones survive the bombing run. Every single support unit is getting sniped by the extremely small army that Shoktrepet has. The Venoms go down. The Enlightened gets sniped. And 1 low health avatar is seemingly all that remains for Shoktrepet. The Marv has survived the fight, and the Marv is like, I'm happy to go toe-to-toe with one low-health avatar. One final EMP lands there on that, and okay, Vertigo's get some snipes in here. Vertigo Bombers clean up the APCs, which is nice to see, but Vertigo's also get cleaned up. One of them on the deck as he goes down to that EMP. Marv is making his way forward. Shoktrepet didn't have much of a chance of taking this game from the last couple of minutes, but he did fight it out as best he could. The Vertigos, I always love to see the Vertigos. Unfortunately, this time, it was too little, too late. And BartJones will finish out this series, taking it 6-3. And that will be it. Easy for Bart, my boy. BartJones, he doesn't always show us that that tip-top play, but he was in good shape for this show match. He was putting out good games and making some good moves. So that will be it for this match.